So welcome to I think we're on week 6 of Momentum Mondays. This is Phoenix, the college success professor, and we have officially hit all the days in May for Momentum Mondays. I'm very excited. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time on Momentum Mondays, this is where we talk about all the things to help get high school students or early college students ready for the next semester of college. And I know fall seems like it's a long time away, but it's going to go by quickly. So I have started in May, starting on College Signing Day, which was May 1st, doing my State of the Union address for college. That was the first Momentum Monday on May 1st. We have talked about a lot of different topics. We've talked about money in college, doing all the things that you need to do to make sure that your money is right for the upcoming semester. We've talked about the hard truth, having those family conversations, those hard conversations, those family standard operating practices for when your child goes away for college. We've talked about communication. We've talked about a bunch of different things. So this week's talk is talking about making the college connection and why that thing that you were looking for when you were searching for your college and making your college decision fit, why that's so important and what can be done before the semester actually begins to make sure that your child actually is connected to campus, feels good, and feels like they belong on campus. So that is the talk for today. And we're going to continue with more talks for the next few weeks through June. And then we're going to get some feedback, see what was liked, see what questions you have, and then we'll just see where we go from there. So like I said, today's talk is making the college connection. I have my notes here. So let's get started. So when you talk about fit in college, obviously people know what that means. When you're looking for college, you're looking for the college that has the best fit for you and your child. And that could be a fit based off of your ability to feel like you are connected to campus, feeling like you picked the best university that is going to make you feel comfortable. It's in a location that you like, it's a size that you like, it has a good vibe for you, and it feels like, it's somewhere that you belong. So when you talk about fit, we want to make sure that after you've made that decision, you want to test it out. So I like to use the analogy of clothing because everybody is familiar with making sure that your clothing fits. So sometimes when you buy something and you spend a lot of money on it, which is what you're doing with college, you're spending a lot of money on your education. If it's something that you really want, sometimes you have it tailored. Sometimes you have it taken in. Sometimes you have it let out. Sometimes you make it longer. Sometimes you make it shorter. And so every college is not going to be the perfect fit for every student. And so what you need to decide and what your child needs to decide during that first few weeks, I would say the first 4 to 6 weeks is the transition process, is to see if it is something that can be tailored to your needs, or if it's something that needs, if we're using the same clothing analogy, if it's something that needs to be exchanged, meaning that you need to transfer or you need to go to another college, which will be a better fit. So what you can do over the summer is going to be a couple of different things. So you want to try it out. When you go to these over the summer events, orientation, different things where you may be able to go to campus, go to the physical campus, ask specific questions to get to understand how this is going to be a fit for you. And one of the best ways to get to fit on college campus is your students' ability to engage with the different services, the programs, the people, the faculty, the upperclassmen, their peers. All of that is going to be important for determining fit. So one of the questions that you can ask during orientation or even via email or through your admissions counselor or whoever you can ask questions to is, how do students find out what to do on campus, be it clubs and organizations, sports, be it Greek life. How are you going to be proactive in figuring out what are the activities, what are the things that they're going to do on campus to connect on campus, be it a campus job, obviously their classes, all of those things are going to be important for engagement. So that's one of the things that you can do before the actual school year begins. Also, ask about the programs and services, because fit is not just the social fit, which is very important and what students tend to focus on over the summer and during the months, during the initial weeks, but it's both the social fit, their emotional fit, and the academic fit. So all three of those things are going to be important for making the connection on campus and feeling like you have belonging on campus. And belonging is like a topic that they use at the university level, but belonging just simply means that you feel safe on campus, you feel at home, you feel respected, you feel like, and this happens also in the college classroom. So for students, there are a bunch of different types of schools that you could be going to when we were talking about fit. So you're going to a HBCU, you can be going to a predominantly white institution. Both instances, you can be experiencing different levels of fit academically, socially, and emotionally. So all of those are going to be important. And so when we think about the academic fit and we think about belonging and psychological safety, what happens with some students is they don't feel like they belong to campus, or they don't feel like there's something called imposter syndrome, where students, especially if you have a really challenging major and you are the only one who looks like you, be it you're female, be it you're a person of color, you're the only person, or one of very few people who are in a college classroom, that can make you feel like you don't belong. And when that happens, that can make it difficult for you to feel like you are connected to campus, feeling like you have an academic fit, or feeling like you're engaged on campus. So that's what I mean by making sure that you are aware of these things, making sure that you and your child are aware of these things, and doing things proactively, and also when you get to campus. So if you are in a situation like you're an engineer, obviously there are not a lot of women in the engineering program. Sometimes if you're an engineer, there may not be a lot of people of color in the engineering programs. So what do you do to be proactive about that? Number one, you can see if there is a group on campus, like maybe, actually there is one I know for sure, one of my colleagues at Villanova, I forget, National Association of Black Engineers. Is there a chapter on campus that can be your support system? Is it possible for you to form a study group with other people like you during the first couple of weeks of the semester? Is there a club? Is there an organization? So you would need a support group. You would need a group of people to make your own community where you feel supported and engaged. Obviously, engineering is a difficult major. You can obviously bond across that with regard to studying. But finding a support network, finding peers, either upperclassmen who are also similar to you in background and gender and what have you, that can help you feel like you have a belonging on campus. Like I said earlier, just because you picked the college because you felt it had a good fit, it's kind of like when you're in a relationship. You're still getting to know the campus and you're still trying to tailor what you need and what's going to support you. So one of your jobs before the school semester begins and during the first weeks is to make yourself feel or do things so that you feel a better sense of belonging and connection to campus. So that can be mentors, that can be upperclassmen mentors, and also faculty mentors. Are there faculty in your department who are also female, who are also of your same race, are also of your same gender, who can act as also a mentor or someone that you can connect with and actually get guidance and advice for? So sometimes it's up to us to find our support basis and to find our own community, and to find make our belonging more evident, make our fit more evident for us. So that's one of the academic ways you can find fit. And then socially, that's what usually is the answer or response. Make sure you find clubs and organizations that are going to be important to you. And don't just wait until you get to campus. Many campuses have like a welcome week or welcome orientation things where you learn about all the different organizations on campus. But that's one of the questions you can ask before you actually get to campus. What are the organizations on campus based on my affinity group, based on my sexual orientation, based on whatever my interests are, my hobbies? That way you can find your own group of people, your own group of peers outside of the academics. That's the social fit. Many times students make connections based off of region. I know when I went to college in Baltimore, there was a big Philly contingent on campus. So based on your region, like New York, Philly, the Northeast. Also, not saying that you need to stay within your own region, but that could be an affinity group for you. You have your Philly cohort or friends. You have people who are interested in things that you're interested in. Like if you're interested in SGA, or you had SGA experience, or you're interested in like the creative arts, like drama or theater, finding your people who or allow you to be able to practice the things that you like to do for fun. That can be completely different from your major. That can be completely different from your career interests. That also gives you an opportunity to make a connection on campus in that way. So you have the social connection, you have your academic connection, and your emotional connections. So sometimes, unfortunately, when students go off to campus, or not unfortunately, we're exposed to people who maybe we have never been exposed to before. And I'm talking in terms of class. So you may be exposed to people who are at your same economic class level, who are way above your economic class level, and who are way below your economic class level, or who have different beliefs, different religious beliefs, different beliefs in general. And sometimes that can cause a conflict, and that can cause maybe a negative roommate experience, a negative classroom experience. Somebody could say something that's out of pocket to you or offensive to you in a classroom or in a social environment, and that can cause us to feel like insulted, offended, like we don't belong. So that can be an instance of feeling like you don't belong, and that can create some sort of like disattachment. Like, what am I supposed to do? Do I talk to my RA? Do I talk to my professor? Do I talk to my advisor? If you're in a classroom, that's what I was talking about earlier, psychological safety, feeling like you can't speak up for yourself, feeling like and oftentimes I hear this from students of color, feeling like if you're the only African American person in the classroom, feeling like people are looking to you to speak for all African American people, looking to you to give the answers or give a perspective that represents all people. So that can sometimes be pressure. And again, somebody can say something in a classroom that's completely offensive to you, and you're put in an uncomfortable situation. So all of that impacts your belonging. And so parents who are watching, it's up to us to have these types of conversations, because I know when I went to school, I was in a diverse group of people. But I know a lot of students, when they go to high school, their environment is pretty much homogenous. It's the same environment. People are of the same economic class. People have maybe similar beliefs. And when you're exposed to college, you have people with a diverse set of beliefs, a diverse set of perspectives. And sometimes you may be put in an uncomfortable situation. So talking to your child about how do you deal with that? Asking questions about, what is the process if there is some sort of, especially in these times, if there's some sort of situation on campus where there's a problem, where you feel offended or where you are insulted, things like that. So figuring out how to deal with that, that's also a part of growing up. That's also a part of adulting. So how do you deal with that? What do you do if that happens? That's teaching your child their ability to advocate for themselves, to communicate what the problem is, to problem solve, to have a dialogue, to explain what was offensive, why it was offensive, to educate people about things. So all of that is going to be an important part of your belonging and connection, making a connection on campus. Because many times you have this idealized view about what is going to happen and how it's going to happen and how great it's going to be. And then maybe these negative instances or negative circumstances can just shut you down, and you feel like, oh, okay, well, this whole college is not for me. And it may be just that one person who may be speaking out, and it's not necessarily the whole campus. So that's one thing. Also, what's important, regardless of your academic preparedness, regardless of your social and psychological safety, there are things that are a part of college culture that many high school students don't get. And so that transition to things that a college student does versus things that a high school student does is going to be different. So I say at the point of graduation, there needs to be some sort of formal or informal transformation, mindset shift, that I am no longer a high school student, I am a college student. And your job is to have the identity, behave, and act like a high school student should. So the identity, the beliefs, the habits, the things that you did in high school, you need to assess what those are and assess what is going to serve you when you are in college. That is also a part of making the connection, because there is this idea of college prep that is mainly focused on academic. Are you academically prepared for college? Are you emotionally prepared for college? Are you emotionally prepared for dealing with that first F? Are you emotionally prepared for feeling like your classmates may be at a higher level than you are academically. So all of that is going to be important. So it's your turn to assess your behavior, assess your ways of thinking, assess your habits for what it's going to take to be successful in your major, in your classroom, in your school, all of those things. So when you're making that connection to campus, it's a part, sometimes the upperclassmen can help. Sometimes the orientation process can help with regard to what is the culture on your campus. And let me read this definition. And it's this term that you may or may not have heard of before. It's called the hidden curriculum. And every campus has a hidden curriculum. And let me read the definition of what a hidden curriculum is real quick. So the hidden curriculum is what is not said, the unspoken words that are said on college campuses, or the unspoken behaviors and beliefs that people have on college campuses that are not outwardly expressed, or that are not outwardly shared with others. So let me read the official definition. So it says, the hidden curriculum is a collection of undefined, so it's not like written down anywhere. You have to be in the know. That's why they say sometimes first generation students, and that means students who have not had the opportunity to have parents or siblings who have gone to the university. First generation students have a bigger deficit or a bigger challenge when going to school because they don't know the hidden curriculum of college. And so let me continue with the definition. The hidden curriculum is a collection of undefined cultural norms, processes, and assumptions, that's the beliefs part, essential to successfully navigate the academic, the social, and the administrative elements of college life. So let me break that down in layman's terms, or how a normal person would say this, because this is like a really high level definition. So it's a collection of culture, like cultural norms. Like, is it culturally appropriate? And actually, this is one of the topics that we're talking about in one of my classes that I'm teaching. Not like culturally, as far as a college campus culture, is it appropriate to turn your paper in on time, or is it appropriate to turn your paper in late in college? Many times in high school, students have the idea that it is okay to wait until the last minute to ask for an extension, or to turn the thing in after the deadline. And in many college campuses, you have like a learning management system that you submit your assignments. And because it's all digital, your teacher knows whether you turned it in 1 minute late or 3 hours late. So having that understanding of, yes, if the syllabus says that something is due today, that's another thing that's a part of the college culture. Do you know that a syllabus tells you, for the most part, all the different deadlines, all the different projects, all the different assignments that are going to be due for the semester? Not knowing that. Are you aware of what office hours are? Office hours are an opportunity for you to go in and talk to the professor about questions or concerns or your grades. So all of these things are a part of the hidden curriculum that if you don't necessarily know, if you're not in the know, it can be of a detriment to you. The processes, do you know how to, during that first week or two of classes, there's something called the add drop period. Did you know that you can change your schedule if in fact you have a challenge with the time or the professor or what have you? That's an administrative process that you need to know. Do you know that if you don't pay your bill on time, it's going to be a late fee? And later down, if you continue not to build it, it's going to prevent you from registering. These are bureaucratic processes that you have to get to know. And all the social things. So the hidden curriculum, and many times first year students have something called orientation class, where they're supposed to teach you the different things about how to navigate campus and things like that. And many times students don't take that class seriously. And many times, depending on the professor, depending on the syllabus, depending on what is actually in the class, there are many things that you maybe don't take seriously. But I've seen many a student, this is maybe a 1 credit class or a 3 credit class, many students, when they don't take it seriously and then they fail the course, it's a negative impact on their GPA. So understanding that it's important to take all of your classes seriously. Another thing that is a part of the bureaucratic process, that you can drop or withdraw from a class if you're in danger of failing. So all of these things, and if you're listening and paying attention and you don't have someone at home or someone in your family who can guide you through this process, there is information out there. They send you emails in college. Many times students don't pay attention to the emails. So there is opportunity for you to learn this information if you don't have a resource. But like I said, finding your support groups, finding your upperclassmen friends, finding your advisors, the people on campus who are supposed to support you, can help you navigate it. But it's important for you to find people that are in the know who can guide you through this process, which will also help you to make a connection to your campus. So all of these things are things or hurdles that you want to make sure you navigate through or try to figure out and make sure you don't succumb to. And all of that is important, and understanding that you need to make a connection on campus. One of my last points is that the roommate situation is going to be very, it's hit or miss. It's a gamble. Sometimes your roommate's great, sometimes your roommate's not. Sometimes your roommate's your best friend, sometimes it's just somebody you live with. So that's one of the first, I guess, obstacles that some students have, is making the connection. And I read something the other day, and I'll post that a little bit later, is one of the best things that you can do during your roommate getting to know you process is to get clear on each other's boundaries and understand and set up some consequences on what's going to happen if boundaries are crossed or if rules are broken. So your home, your dorm, which is your home away from home, it should be your safe space. And oftentimes, due to roommate conflicts, due to roommate drama, it can be an unsafe space. So one of the main lessons that I encourage students to do, especially with the social part of campus, is to have several sets of groups of people that you can connect with. Your roommate should not be your best friend, because often what happens is during the first few weeks of the semester, you find your group, but then that's when people's true colors start showing, their true intentions, their true personality starts coming through, and you find out that maybe I really don't like this person, or maybe this group of people is really not for me, and you're kind of stuck because that is who you've had your nucleus of friendship around, and you have no other options as to people who you can connect with. Because pretty much in the first few weeks of the semester, everybody has formed their group. And so if you're a part of multiple groups, like I said, groups of people in your major, upperclassmen, groups of people based on your interests, groups of people in your dorm, all groups of people from your neighborhood or from your region. If you have multiple groups of people, then, if one group doesn't work out, you have an opportunity to go to another group. A fitness, if that's one of your goals, which it should be, you should have a fitness routine during your college experience, where you go to the gym, or you run, or you work out, or you do whatever physical activity to help relieve stress for later when the stress comes. You have your group of gym buddies or your accountability partners. If you want to start walking or running or exercising, what have you. So having different groups of people is going to be important for you to make sure that you don't have a group of friends and then that falls apart, and then you're emotionally and socially distraught and feeling alone and like you don't belong because of that part of the campus connection. So remember, it's not only academics, because like we talked about earlier, you can have an academic problem with integrating and connecting the campus, which can be resolved through a bunch of different things which we talked about before. And I didn't mention one of these things is tutoring. So if you are in a major, or you feel like your high school did not prepare you academically for what's going on in the classroom or in your major, a lot of times students break that connection quickly. They say, okay, well, I need to change my major. And that's not necessarily the case. If you are willing to make the commitment and do the work and use the resources that are available on campus, it doesn't mean that that major is not for you. It just means that there's a different level of commitment or a different level of work that you need to do to make that connection. You need to find a friend group. You need to try alternate ways of studying. And oftentimes, group study, or the idea of studying with other people, is a completely foreign concept for high school students, because you never had to do it before. Asking for help, seeking out tutoring, is a completely foreign concept, because either you are the person who was giving the help, and or you never really had to ask for help. And so feeling like you have to ask for help makes you feel like, oh, okay, well, this is too challenging, so I need to change majors. And that's not the case. You need to rise to the challenge. You need to figure out what you need to do. If that first grade or that first form of feedback from your professor was an F, you need to figure out what you need to do so that you can still stay connected to that goal and your ultimate dream of whatever that major was for you to be in a specific career. So let me just make sure I went over everything that I wanted to go over today, because I have like 5 minutes left. Oh yeah, so this last point that I wanted to talk about was the skills that are needed for success long term and making connections to campus. And it's something called emotional intelligence. And you may have heard this term before. It's an actual psychological term, emotional intelligence. And there are two halves of emotional intelligence. And so that is part of self awareness, meaning that you are aware of where your strengths are, where you're able to self assess, where you're doing well, where you need to ask for help, where you need, where you're really good, where your strengths are. There's also emotional self awareness. So being able to understand, why you're feeling this way or how you're going to react in a situation where somebody emotionally did something to trigger you, and your self confidence. So all of that are these skills that you need to develop as you are transitioning from the high school mindset to the college mindset. Or do you have these self awareness skills? Do you have these social, emotional, and are able to adapt and address the different things that may trigger you, the different things that may cause you to lose confidence, and the different things that may feel you to feel disconnected to campus? So that's self awareness. The other type of awareness is social awareness. Are you aware of the different types of people that you're going to meet, and the people who you're going to connect to, and the people who you're not necessarily going to connect to? Are you able to communicate who you are, what you believe, who your identity is now, and who your identity wants to be in college? Is there a difference between that? Do you want to be somebody different than you were in high school? Understanding that and making sure that you're doing things that you are going to become the person that you want to become in college, thinking about what that is, how that is. Are the people that you hung out with in high school going to be the same type of people that you hung out with in college? Thinking about that, being proactive with regard to that, and making decisions about that. And the other part of some emotional intelligence is self-management. And this is the stuff that deals with the academic part of being connected on campus, being able to have the discipline, being able to do what's required, being able to do the work, being able to have the commitment, take initiative, and adapt your beliefs, adapt your habits, adapt what you're going to do to get the job done. All of that is going to be important. Not letting your emotions or feelings about getting a bad grade affect your habits and your outcomes. So not getting mad at the professor because they gave you a bad grade, but making sure you do what you have control over, studying, doing something better, sometimes withdrawing from the class or switching the class. There are things that are in your control that you have control over that will help you to be able to be successful. That's self-management. And the last thing is relationship management. And so relationship management is talking about that conflict, self-advocacy, avoiding conflict or communicating through conflict, and being able to navigate, the Maya Angelou quote, which is so beautiful: when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. So when I was talking about building those relationships and making those relationships early in the academic year, and finding that maybe the person is not really who you thought they were going to be, making decisions about that. Is that somebody that you want to continue to build a relationship with, or is that someone you want to distance yourself from? So all of that is going to be important with regard to making connections on campus in the long term, in the long run, when you're actually on campus. So I'm just going to look over my notes last time. We talked about what gets in the way. We talked about the questions that you can ask before you actually arrive on campus. We talk about the importance of engagement on campus, and engagement academically, meaning asking questions in class, meaning engaging with the other people in your class, meaning engaging with the professor maybe during office hours in all of your classes, engaging in the academic part of college life, tutoring, support services. All of those things are going to be important. And also engaging with the social aspects of college, going out. It's not just academic, making new friends, going out, having fun, going out, leaving your door open. All of those things are going to be important for you in the long run with regard to making a connection on campus, and sometimes practicing those skills. So oftentimes I say that the best way to prepare for a college transition in high school is to actually have the experience. There are many opportunities on college campuses where you can take a class, you can join a program. Sometimes it's like an overnight, multi-day program. But if you're actually practicing the skills that you're going to need to make new friends, because it takes effort to actually put yourself out there and form new relationships. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be sometimes get out of your comfort zone. So all of that is going to be important. So these are skills that you need to develop if you're introverted, if you're, not necessarily, especially in high school, likely you've been to high school for 4 years and you never really had to make new friends because you've known these people all the time. So sometimes it's something that you have to develop a skill at. It's something that you really need to work on doing. So like I said, next week, I'm just going to wrap up. Next week, we have the topic of mindset. So talking about kind of more getting your mind right, getting your mindset right for college to be successful, all the things that you can do now and when school actually starts, what you can do to make sure that you are having a successful transition, that the momentum from the high school to college transition happens effectively and efficiently. So join us next week. We'll be in June, my birthday month, my month of celebration. So we'll be talking about that at the same time in the same place. So I will see you then. If you liked what you saw here, if you found it valuable, definitely feel free to give us a share. Share it with somebody you think, a student, if you're a parent, that you think will find this useful. Take some action on these different things, these different ideas. If you found something valuable, definitely put it in the chat for someone catching a replay. If you are watching a replay, hit me with a replay in the chat. If you do have other questions or topics that you think I should cover, let me know. And actually, let me tell you, if this is your first time, what we've already covered. So you can go back and look at old videos. So we talked about making the commitment and celebrating your success for college signing day. We talked about money management and all the things that you need to do to make sure that your loans, if you got loans or scholarships or grants or what have you, are secured so that you don't have financial problems in the long run. We talked about keeping in touch, making sure that you have communication with your family or your friends, and making sure that you have that support system at home. And my favorite topic, I've had to forget about that. We talked about that last week, which is the college to career momentum, which is making sure that you're doing things in college that will help you in the long run to meet your career goals. Whether you have a specific major or career goal right now, or that's something you want to work on during your first semester. So if that is something, like I said, that we haven't covered that you want me to cover, then let me know. This topic today was about connections, making connections on campus. And so the replay, if you're on Facebook, if you go to the College Success Strategy page, if you go to my page, College Success Strategy, and actually I'll put it in the comments, Wendy. So I'll link the replay, but it should be in the College Success Strategy Facebook page. And you can look at all the old ones. And it's also on my Instagram, College Success Professor. It's under the live videos, the most recent videos. So either way, I'm streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So you can check it out at any of those places. And I'll put the links in the comment below if you came in late and missed out. All right, so thank you for watching. I appreciate you commenting. Like I said, if you think this is going to be helpful for somebody that you know, or a student who's starting college in the fall, or a parent of a student who's starting college in the fall, send that off to them. And like I said, I'll be here next week. And if this is your first time viewing, thanks for watching. Check out some of the older videos, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.